your background and everything. Yeah. Our first speaker tonight is Satyajit, and he works at GoDaddy.
Hey guys, my name is Satya. I work at GoDaddy. It's in Kirkland. So I've been doing mobile automation for about 5 years now. I work with different frameworks, Appium, XUI, test for iOS, and this is the latest framework that I'm using. It's called Espresso. It's from Google. Okay. It's from Google. It's about 3 years old. It's an open source project from Google, and they've been, committed to it. They've been adding a lot of support to it, so on. And I want to talk about it. Like, it's one of the good things about Espresso is that it's integrated within the IDE. So, for example, if your developers are doing in Android Studio, so you can get started with Espresso very quickly within Android Studio, and you can also get integrated with because it's from Google. They have a lot of support within Android Studio. So, for example, they even have a recording playback tool within Android Studio, and they have an integrated cloud provider. They have their own thing called Firebase Test Lab, so you can run your tests on the cloud from within Android Studio. So that's a brief introduction about the Espresso. Next, like I said, I used other frameworks before, and if you search for automation for mobile, the first thing that would come up is Appium. So this is the most famous framework, and it's for a reason. Like because it simulates Selenium, like just like you automate web browsers, you can automate the mobile devices, both Android and iOS. And the underlying framework for Android used to be UI Automator, but in the latest beta they are going to Espresso because this is the latest from Google. And so some of these comparisons I made this like a few months back, so they don't hold strongly anymore. But if you think about the latest of Appium versus the latest of Espresso, so some of them are here. I think the font is too slow, too small. Let me. So, yeah, the first major thing is that Appium, by its definition, is a black box automation. So you would know the internals about the app itself, which is good in some respects and bad in some respects. Since I'm going to be partial about Espresso, so Espresso is fast, and it will also you can do it within the Android Studio, and also it will give you access to the dev code. Like if you have any helpers or any setup things that you have already set up for unit tests, you can reuse them within Espresso. And most of all, the flakiness of the test within Espresso is very low compared to what you get with Appium. I'll go a little bit more depth into that, but this is one of the comparisons. Then. Yeah, that's the comparison with Appium. Now, talking about the benefits of Espresso. So, like I said, it's fast, and you can compare to. I used to have instrumentation-based automation for Android. Like they used to take about 30 minutes to run 15 test cases. That's not only because they are running on source labs, which will take a lot of time to set up and tear down, but they are based on the framework itself is not as fast, and the waiting for the frameworks is a little bit different in Espresso. I talk about it here. So the idea is that in Selenium or in Appium, it's a black box, so it doesn't know the internals of the app. So for example, if you want to wait for something to show up, you keep on polling the site. It's a text box here, it's a text box here, it's a text box here. But the way Espresso works, because it's an internal framework, it knows the UI thread. It will wait for the UI thread to idle, and till then it doesn't do anything, any next step. So it makes two things. So first, it makes it automation faster. As soon as the UI thread is idle, you can go to the next step. And the second step advantage is that you can customize what you want to wait on. That's called the counting. This is called idling resources. The idea here is that you can wait based on what you want. For example, let's say you want to wait till the network request completes. This is very helpful because a lot of times the networks are sometimes slow, sometimes fast, but in a traditional automation you have to kind of keep polling and hope that your callers will wait appropriate time. But with Espresso, you can delegate that as a setup rule, and you can wait till the network callback comes back before you go to the next step. So that's one. That's one of the benefits. Another benefit is we have, because this automation is within the Android Studio. Like there is not a automation repo which sits on its side on the side where only assets or testers are responsible for it. All automation is within the dev code itself. So the collaboration between the devs and assets is more strong, and also we can make this UI test as part of the build automation. For example, any of our build automation will have to first go through the unit test, and then they have to go through the Espresso test before they merge the code. So it's way easier, and also kind of the shift of having the automation within the being everybody's responsibility is easier to do with Espresso. Yeah, another big advantage that I found by accident is that Espresso is inherently parallel. So if you start the test automation and you have a few devices connected, and it will run on all of them simultaneously. You don't have to do explicitly anything to make your automation run parallel. It just is like this is more small dog, so I don't have a demo, but you can run it from the command line, and if you have few units connected, you can run them in parallel. Like it doesn't matter how many emulators or how many devices you have connected, and it will run on them, all of them.
That's the selling point.
Yeah. For example, right, in Appium, when I was trying to do this, I had to create Appium servers as background daemons. Every parallel run I have to create a new Appium server, and then this client has to talk to them. So that's not easy thing to do, and it was flaky to get the results from all of them. But with Espresso, because it's kind of inbuilt within the framework, it's easier. So a little bit about writing tests with Espresso. It's pretty similar with how you do with this Selenium or Appium. It's just you have locators, and in Espresso they are called view matchers. There's a type of view matchers. So the idea is that you can find an element. This is how you find the elements. So you can find an element. The easiest way is to find it by the ID. You can find it by the content or content description, or you can find it by text, or you can find it by a combination of these things. And all of these are within the Espresso framework itself. There is a sub framework called Handrest, which will help you kind of create your locators. But it's once you know Selenium, once you know Appium, you know the concepts of it. And then you have your assertions. Assertions is again within the Espresso itself. So they're methods to make sure that things are showing up, things are not showing up, and you avoid them with like you can create a page object pattern on top of it, but the way Espresso works, it's easier to do just like a chain commands, like on view find this element, and then do this dot perform, do this action, and then check that is it displayed. So we can do a little bit more advanced within Espresso. For example, you can also integrate with the instruments framework or the UI automated framework, which is what Appium uses. So, for example, one thing that Espresso can't do is interact with outside the app. For example, you want to do a pull down to refresh to see the push notifications. you can't do that with Espresso because its context is within the app. So you can switch back to the instrument, to the UI or to the UI automator, and then do the pull action, and then within the same test case, you will be able to get back into Espresso and then do whatever you need to do. And setup rules are a thing in which JUnit, where it's just before and after, before each and after block, and it just makes it easier to do with setup rules. And in our project, we have a lot of setup rules. For example, each test will do the network ID that I talked about, and then do a login before we get in. So that's setup rules. And the final part I want to talk about is how it's easier to create a CI/CD pipelines with Espresso. Now, for example, I have it running within Google Cloud. It's called it's a company called AppPurify that Google acquired. Now it's called Firebase Test Lab. The advantage with Firebase Test Lab is you get access to like multiple emulators and devices. So you set it up once, and you have a billing account, and you can run your test cases in all the device combinations that they have. And because it's from Google and it's integrated within Android Studio, it's easier to run the test cases, and it's also easier to have the command, the shell invocation within the Jenkins, so that you can create it as part of your build automation. Yeah, that's all I have. If you have any more questions on Espresso, feel free to talk to me. Thank you.